Welcome to the grip. So it's been a couple weeks. We've had live golf around the globe. Korea and Spain, Valderrama did not disappoint. Of course, I'm not going to sit here and do the analytics and some in-depth analysis of the golf that was played. But I just want to say, seeing Wako Neiman get hot again is good for Liv. It's just good for golf around the world. He's such a young star, and the way he plays is kind of inspirational to young guys coming up. He hits those low stinger driver. It's just crazy how low he hits the ball. But we saw a great play from Scott Vincent. Also in Korea and in Spain. He kind of fell off at the end, but yeah, Wako back. Wako gets in the U.S. Open. We're going to talk about that today. And of course, Andalucia was awesome. And this is where I give Liv a hard time. Their courses are generally a cakewalk. Like, Stein City, South Africa. Just think about some of the places they play. They destroy it, just like Mexico. But Korea, that course was legit. In fact, a lot of the rough and the putting reminded me of the PGA Championship at Aronimink. Aronimink. I can't say it. Say it 5 times fast. And then, of course, Valderrama, legendary course. It was awesome to see some of the golf's biggest stars take on that course. You only had 12 under, I think, winning both tournaments. And that's just a testament to how tough those courses played. But Terrell Hatton has a baby, comes back, limited practice, gets the win. And it's just good to see Liv going full steam ahead. Then all of a sudden, hit the brakes. They're taking a big, long, I think now we have 6.5 weeks or so before we see Liv again come back in the UK. But before we go into all the drama and the news of Liv, let's just look at the TV ratings since everybody loves to talk about them. All right. So Liv Spain Sunday TV ratings. It was on at 7 a.m., a European event. 376,000 viewers just in the US. Of course, it was millions globally, but everybody likes to make a stink here in the US. How about the DP World Tour? Where were they? KLM? Oh, they were in the Netherlands. They must have had huge ratings at 7 a.m., right? Let's have a look here. Oh, wait, 18,600. So almost 400,000, less than 20,000. And yet the golf media and talking heads still say the live players should go play DP World Tour. The DP World Tour is one of the best tours in the world. It's not. I love to watch the DP World Tour events because I love all golf. But literally, come on, you can't even get 20,000 people to watch. Hey, Liv's favorite exile player, Eugenio Chikara, finally gets on top at the KLM. So TV ratings, big deal. Well, Liv mopped the floor with it. You know who won the TV ratings battle this week for golf? The women. Gave them a hard time a couple of weeks ago because they're only averaging like 150,000 viewers, which isn't even half of the Liv's average viewership. But they had almost 2 million during peak viewership this week. So all those people that love TV ratings, the Women's U.S. Open, Nelly Korda was awesome to see, played at Riviera. They had more viewers than the PGA Tour, Live, and the DP World Tour. So Scott Oneil is out doing business. Liv needs another talking head. I'm not a huge Greg Norman fan, but one thing about Greg Norman, when he was out in the public talking, people listened. It got shared. Now, Scott O'Neill's, everything he says in interviews is getting shared, but not in the same way. He's a great business mind. He's not necessarily the front person PR guy. But what we learned about Scott Oneil is he's out there pitching Live. He's got great interest. Don't let the media fool you. And this guy's doing 18 to 20 meetings a week. And these meetings are getting organized by 2 investment bankers that they brought into the board. Scott Oneil was honest that the time or the clock is running. They need to get investors by the end of the summer. Coincidentally, now that Liv is going on break, all of a sudden there's news and people reporting without any sources, once again, that Liv might close up shop right after the break and not even play out the rest of their schedule. Scott Oneil was asked this, also taken out of context. What he did say was he can't see the PIF doing that because they funded all their obligations as agreed. They said they would. So Scott Oneil said, that's what they said they do. We're going on business as usual. Then the guy at CNBC pressed him and said, can you guarantee it will be played? All the events will be played. And this is what the media picked up. And Scott Oneil just kind of washed that to the side like a good PR person and said, what I can guarantee is if you invest in Live, you'll see a return in 3 years on your investment. So Scott Oneil, just to answer the question, I know he can't guarantee anything, but we got to imagine at this point in the season with only a handful of events to go, that the PIF is going to follow through on their obligations. But once again, all staff and players still on board. Nobody has jumped off the ship. No matter how the media spins it, they've been trying to say Bryson was going to leave because of the $500 million contract. And how could he possibly stay if he's not getting paid? Those stories went away because Bryson just keeps reinforcing his reality that he's going to make Liv work and do everything he can. John Rahm now is the next one. The media is trying to say John Rahm's leaving. He basically said so, and it's not what he said. He said that it's not his job to get involved with business meetings and that he's not Bryson. He's got 3 little kids, maybe 4 at home. And Bryson's a single guy that's, a spokesman for the league. John Rahm wants to focus on golf, but he certainly stated his commitment to Live going forward. So it's only speculation. The media loves to talk about this stuff. They need stuff to talk about. But right now, every Live player still intact. Not one Live executive has left. In fact, more Live executives have jumped ship, left, or been fired or position cut in the past 4 years more frequently than they are now, since it's been announced that they might not even be around next year. So that just goes to show how committed the people are on the inside of Live. So we'll see what happens. This is what the media is going to do. And I don't think there's a big conspiracy theory with a room, like a big cabal together, like, hey, let's take down Liv while they're on break. But much like the Masters, right, where Liv didn't have anybody perform well, then all of a sudden Liv was done. And then everybody could be like, yeah, they're not that good of golfers. Look what they did at the Masters. And that's kind of what's happening now. Liv's got a long break. Well, the PIF's not going to fund it anymore. And now the media is jumping on, running with that. And Scott Oneil not using the word guarantee gives them a little bait. So Liv, you need a mouthpiece. You click on Liv on YouTube or on Roku or any media provider. There needs to be Live Media, even if it's not continuous. At least do a weekly show or something. Control your narrative, because if you're not controlling the narrative, then all the people that are against you are. So I got a lot of notes to go through, a lot of stuff. Where's Live going? What we know is what leaked about, I would say 3 weeks ago, right? A limited schedule event. So 10, half of them focused on some sort of team style majors. Liv is all in on the team. Scott Oneil and Bryson and the investment bankers are out there pitching the future of golf around the world as an alternative to traditional PGA golf is team golf. So rich people like to invest in sports franchises, even on, some rich guy out there owns a women's basketball team, right? Some rich guy out there probably owns a women's volleyball team, minor league hockey teams. There's people that own them, and that's traditionally a loss. So there's a lot of reason that the uber wealthy invest in sports franchises. And some of the players on Live are pretty rich guys themselves. So they are also introducing potential investors to the Live team and to Scott Oneil. So who knows where it's going to come from? Is it going to be one big conglomerate that buys Live? Or is there going to be equity shares? It's going to be like little pieces, like a stock holding company where everybody gets a little piece, kind of like on TGL, right? The Tiger Woods thing. That thing's a huge loss, but yet everybody just for fun, even the, Serena Williams, like think of all the people that bought TGL teams and invested in it. Remember the headlines? Everybody did. Excuse me. Everybody did just because it's fun for them to do. And I'm sure there's plenty of wealthy people out there that think it would be fun to hang out with Cam Smith, Dustin Johnson, John Rahm, or Bryson DeChambeau. So I'm sure investors are coming, no matter how hard the global golf media tries to come down on them. Because when you look at the basic numbers, the DP World Tour doesn't do shit in America. It doesn't even do that impressive around the world. And Live does by 4 or 5 times the viewership, the attendance, and of course, the energy created at an event. So that left open the door of the Australian Open, where the PGA announced, I think it was just yesterday, that they are now going to partner with the Australia Open. And that's kind of like to stick a knife into LIV, because you remember Scott O'Neil says one of the options is partnering with national opens. And this would certainly block Australia as a potential partnership. And then it gives PGA kind of like a foothold into Australia, where we know that LIV Adelaide is one of the funnest, most popular golf events in the world outside the majors in the United States. So it's not just the PGA investing in Australia Open that's going to make it successful. They're going to have to pay stars like Rory was paid to go play this year. Tiger Woods in the past was paid to go play in Australia. And it'll be a huge, great golf event that I'll love to watch, but it still won't create the production and the energy and the vibe of a LIV event. And that's why LIV is going to get investors, because they create they produce an interesting product that's kind of like at the future of golf. It's at the intersection of entertainment and golf, and just fashion and young people and just a whole new vibe. Just look at social media or the like YouTube. For if you watch the replay of any LIV event, they average 100,000 in the US on YouTube. That's not a lot, but it's way more than the replay of most PGA events outside the majors, or definitely a DP World Tour event. So the lifetime value of these events just on YouTube continues to grow. And then when you have a partner like Bryson DeChambeau, who's got, millions of eyeballs on his YouTube, and now you're connected to LIV, that shows potential investors that they're going to get their brand out there, whether it's a rich individual or a big company that wants to put their name on top of the billboard for LIV. They're going to get the return just on views, clicks, and shares and likes as content, social media, golf continues to become more popular. So LIV going forward, they're pushing the teams. That's what they're pitching to investors right now. The 10 events, the events modeled after South Africa and Adelaide. Look at Spain this past week. What a great, well-attended event. And in the US, again, almost 500,000 viewers. That peak viewership was over 800,000. The average viewership was the one that was like 360, 70. So it's definitely catching on. That's a very good sports viewership number for an event. Oh, not in the US. That's on at 7 a.m. So another opportunity for LIV, much like the PGA, is player equity, an opportunity for the players to own a piece of LIV going forward. And that doesn't just mean the players, propping it up with their money because they're all uber rich after the last 4 or 5 years playing golf with those purses, but they can now put their money where their mouth is, just like everybody said. If they believe in it, why don't they invest in it? And a lot of them are trying to do it. We reported that last month, that there was like 10 or 12 players that want to fund it just to keep it going. But that's probably not what's going to happen. But the players are each going to have an equity piece in the league and certainly in their teams. And that's an opportunity for all of them to grow with the league going forward. A lot of golf happening in the 6 weeks where LIV won't be around. So even though the media will continue to bash and shut down LIV, we're going to see the popular players all around the world. I got some trusty notes. One day I'm just going to turn the camera around so you can see all the scribbling notes I have everywhere. So let's talk about what some of the LIV stars have been saying in the past week or so about the league and what's happening. Cam Smith, he was taken out of context. Of course, everyone is on LIV, but he said something really smart and important, that golf prize purses have gone up exponentially because of LIV, right? The PGA, it's not sustainable. So they're likely going to have to lower their purses, except for majors maybe and signature events. And LIV is going to also have to bring their purses down to earth. So Scott O'Neil kind of confirmed that it will be scaled back within reason. Scott O'Neil also confirmed, and so did some of the other players going around talking about the future of LIV, that it was already built by the PIF. So they don't need to spend billions of dollars a year. I say this every week. I just keep reinforce it, that the PIF built LIV. They burnt billions of dollars buying big stars, putting a footprint on Australia, North America, Europe, Asia, South Africa. They've already spent the money to build the brand and get the big players. So a new investor does not have to do it. They just have to make sure the sponsors continue to come in and then fund the operational costs. The costs of each event are offset by the municipalities or the tourism boards, plus the sponsorships. If you watched Valderrama, there was actually local sponsor, not like city sponsor, but lots of sponsorship signs all over the course. So if Liv continues to grow their sponsorship and then raises the 300 million they want, and if they stay at the pace they're raising dollars now, they will operate off 800 to $1 billion a year, and it will be fine. Way more successful than the DP World Tour. Now, how are they going to recruit new players? Well, Liv's going to die because nobody's going to Live. Well, the PGA might have created that opportunity themselves. The PGA is breaking up into awesome golfers and awesome golfers, but not as popular awesome golfers, track 1 and track 2. That's why this week you saw the Rockin' Mortgage said, we're out. We don't want to be in the PGA anymore. There's no value. We don't want to be a track 2 event. There's going to be a lot of track 2 events that just aren't going to have stars, and these middle markets and small market events, they're not going to be popular anymore. So, and maybe they're not even going to be playing for the same type of money that they could if they went to Live. We don't know this, but Live spokespeople have said their purses are going to fall in line between the PGA signature events and the DP World Tour. So they're going to be the second wealthiest payouts in the world of golf. So if you're stuck in the PGA, forced to play track 2 events only, why not consider Live as an option? Maybe you like the team thing. Maybe you see an opportunity to get a different sponsor because now you're traveling around the globe. Maybe you can start a new team. Live's going to have to open up some new opportunities to generate some new revenue. So it'd be cool to see a couple new teams come in. Be cool to see a couple track 2 PGA players, like, you know, who would have been there? Thomas Dietrich. He's a great player on Live, and I'm not diminishing him by saying track 2, but he's a guy under the radar and he plays well. It doesn't matter if he's in a major or winning the Phoenix Open on the PGA or balling out on Live. Guys like that are going to be stuck playing track 2. So the appeal for Live now isn't we're going to give you $100 million to come over. It's you're going to have an opportunity to play for more money, and you're also going to have an opportunity to jump in on these new team sponsorships and team strategies. So even if you're not playing well, you might get a chance to get bailed out. So that could be appealing to track 2 players. And Liv is doing a great job building brands for people. Look at Joaquin Neiman. He literally became a man, came of age on Liv. Now his play, winning again in Korea, has elevated him to getting in another major, into the U.S. Open. Look at the play of Caleb Surratt. Okay, look at the play of Tom McKibben, who got into the Masters. Okay, look at Michael Lasasso. He's not finishing better than top 30, but everybody knows his name because of his popularity of being the guy that Phil recruited, who never got to actually get mentored by Phil. And now Lasasso made some comments actually just this past week where, you know, they're asking him how he likes to live, essentially. And he's like, well, you know, I'm a single guy. The other guys are married with families. And it was kind of an answer that he's just a kid stuck on an island all by himself. So these younger guys, look at Dave Puig or Puig. I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's a big debate here. Puig is in the top 60 OWGR. He qualified for the U.S. Open on his own merits. So Liv is building global stars. Look at Travis Smiley, came out with a bang. Hasn't played that well since, but in Australia, he's now a huge superstar. Look at like Dean Burmeister in South Africa from his emotional performance there. He's a huge superstar in their nation. So Liv is being hugely successful, building player names up and letting them establish their brands, which is why they're attracting more sponsorship. What else we got? PGA Track 2 talk. Oh, and we talked a little bit about the Australia Open. So in the 6 weeks before the next Live event, we have the US Open and the Open, right? Formerly the British Open. I still say the British Open. I can't just say the Open. But anyways, there's 13 guys, I think, at the US Open. I got a list somewhere. Yeah. We got Bryson, Rahm, DJ, Cam Smith, Tyrrell Hatton, and Carlos Ortiz. They're in it again because they finished in the top 10 last year because live guys ball out in the majors, with the exception of the 2026 Masters. You got Waco Neiman, got in on his own merits. David Pooch, because he's in the top 16. And then you had McDowell, Surratt, and Uline qualifying or playing their way in on the qualifiers. So look at Caleb Surratt. He's just working. He's a young guy, went right from college to live, playing really well in the Asian Tour and in international events and some DP World Tour events. And now he's in a major. So these guys are good. They're building their own brand. So does Liv need to recruit new giant stars? No. Will they? Maybe, not with money, because as I started saying, the PIF already spent all that money. So now an investor can just come in, turn on the switch, cut some costs, lower the purses a little bit, get more sponsorship dollars in to help supplement the cost of events, of course, with the local municipalities and tourism boards, and then invest a little bit in more PR and marketing to keep the viewership, the content sharing, and the attendance up. Now, the lift figures are astounding for a pitch deck because everything is up, right? Revenue is up. Now, you might be like, well, it's up from zero. It's up exponentially. Their live event attendance, you can see it on TV yourself. These Saturday and Sunday events are getting packed, whether you're in Korea, Hong Kong, Singapore, and of course, South Africa, Spain, Australia. So Live is well attended live. That is not the issue. Even Live Virginia, hugely attended, almost 500,000 in viewership. Live is moving forward. And of course, sponsorship dollars continue to roll in. Their biggest hurdle is just the negative press, but it's press nonetheless. And a smart investor will know that people are talking about Live. They might just be talking about Live to say no one's watching it, but they're certainly talking about it all the time. Scott Oneil, not the best spokesperson. What else did he say on the CNBC interview? He was taken way out of context, as I mentioned, but he just talked about the buy-in from the players and how they are working together. He's texting them all hours of the day. It's such a unique situation. And that's what I was getting at. That's what he said. He's literally said, I know it's hard for people to understand what the players live, think, and feel about team golf going forward. They really are all in and they believe it and they're in it. They want to put their own money into it. So I don't think there'll be any issue with investors coming on board, but we'll find out. I could be on here in 2 months being like, hey, you remember when Liv said they had 4 more events and they're not happening? I think that would be weird. I don't think we have to worry about it if you're a Liv fan. But so where in this time can we see the Liv guys? We've got an international series event coming up this week in Morocco. Now, the international series is awesome. It's where AK really shined last year, and he went on this run of starting to play good golf in at the Saudi Open. Now, Morocco is going to feature a bunch of guys from Liv. You're going to have Sergio Garcia, Bubba Watson, Benon, Tringali, Elvis Smiley, Scott Vincent, Abe Answer, Lahiri. So you got real ballers lifting up these international opens, like Scott Oneil said they wanted to be a part of. And they're bringing box office names in there. So we've got the International Open. Then we've got 2 majors. So there's plenty of Live guys out there carrying the torch. They will, of course, be asked lots of questions at their press conferences. But Live is full steam ahead. And we will continue to bring you all the news here on the Fat Grip Podcast.